In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a low content book from the first idea all the way through to having it ready to publish on Amazon. And I want to do this properly with you, actually showing you how to think about this so you're not guessing every time you sit down to create something, because that's usually where things go wrong. It's not that people can't make a book, it's that they're making the wrong book. So what we're going to do is build this step by step. We'll find an idea, check if it's worth doing, create the interior, design the cover, and then get it ready to publish. By the end of this, you'll have seen the full process from start to finish, and you'll be able to go and do the same thing yourself. If you are new here, I'm Caroline, and I'm a self-publisher who has been creating and selling books on Amazon KDP for over 7 years, and on this channel, I show you how to do the same. Before we open any tools or start to create anything, I want you to understand one thing, because this changes how you approach everything that comes next. This doesn't start with design, it starts with demand. If people aren't already looking for what you're making, it doesn't matter how nice it looks, it won't sell consistently. So instead of trying to come up with something clever or unique, we're going to look at what people are already searching for, and then we're going to build or create something that fits that. Once you understand that, this stops at feeling like a guessing game and starts to feel a lot more predictable. So let's jump into the research. I'm using BookBolt. I can look at keywords, check competition, and then actually create the book without jumping between different tools. And BookBolt has been created specifically for low and medium content book publishers. So all the tools that you can use with BookBolt are specific to the types of books we actually want to publish. When you first open it up, it feels like there's a lot going on, but we're only focusing on a few key things. They do have quite a few tools at your disposal, like product search, book scout, keyword search, movers and shakers, just to name a few. There's a lot of things that you can use this for. There's a lot of information that you can get out of BookBolt. For now, let's just start with a simple product search. Let's see what's on Amazon right now and what's selling, what's popular with Amazon's customers. So we're looking at books that have a bestseller rank lowest to highest. That means these books are selling the most. The lower the bestseller rank, the more books are selling. So we've got some Coco YO coloring books. The results are going to show you things like how much the book is selling for, the bestseller rank, as well as the average bestseller rank, because bestseller ranks do fluctuate throughout the day and over weeks and months. So it is good to see an average bestseller rank. It's going to show you how many reviews and ratings it has and when the book was published. And this is all just good indication of, is this type of book selling? Are customers liking it based on the reviews? And that just really helps us get an idea of what's selling. So we've got some more coloring books. Now we're getting down into some children's coloring books and activity books, some color by numbers. So these are some of the best-selling low content books on Amazon right now. We've got a word search, a murder mystery word search, back into some coloring books. And so what I do when I use BookBolt or when I'm doing any kind of niche research is I'm going to start with a broad idea, something simple that people already buy, and then we narrow it down from there. So as I'm scrolling through, I'm not just looking at one result, I'm scanning through what comes up, the different types of books that come up. I'm looking at the different types of books, how specific they are, and who they're clearly made for. Now, another place we can look, which is actually one of my favorite tools, is Evergreens, because here we can drill down into some more specific niches. So let's say we're interested in what's going on in the puzzle book niche, what kinds of puzzle books are selling, how popular they are, how many books are selling. We can look over the last month or the last couple of months, and we may decide we only want to look at books with a bestseller rank of, let's say, 100,000 or less, because that means they're selling if you have a bestseller rank under 100,000. And so we have some search results coming up of the different types of puzzle books on Amazon. So the first one is a crossword puzzle book. It's showing a really great bestseller rank under 2,000. So it's estimated to be selling around 550 books in a month. And then we've got some word search puzzle books selling again around 500 books per month. And something I like to look at as well as the publication date, because it's good to see if this niche is still current. If a book has only been published for a year or less and it's doing 500 sales in a month, that's a pretty good indication that customers are enjoying new and fresh books. So there's an opportunity there for a new and fresh book to come in and still make sales. We've got some more word search books and some more crossword books. And this part takes a little bit of patience, but it is where you start to spot the opportunities, because When you stay broad, you're competing with thousands of books that all look the same. But when you go more specific, things start to open up. You'll start to notice certain books are made for a very particular situation or very particular people, and those tend to perform better because they feel more relevant. So as I'm going through this, I'm asking myself a simple question: who is this for? And if I can't answer that clearly, I keep going. Once I can answer that and it feels specific enough, that's when I stop and take a closer look. Now we move on to the next part, and this is where a lot of people either skip ahead or they rush through, but it's actually one of the most important steps. So I'm looking at the books that are already showing up. I'm opening up a few of them and I'm paying attention to what they have in common. The covers, the wording in the titles, the way that they're presented. And you don't need to overcomplicate this. You're not trying to analyze every single tiny detail. You're just looking for patterns. What keeps showing up again and again? Let's take a look at some of these puzzle books. So this is a word search puzzle book with 10,000 unique words, which sounds like a lot, but it actually equates to around 240 puzzles. And so the size of the book is actually quite small considering how many puzzles are in it, which is great because that helps with our printing costs. It has really nice A+ content showing what the inside layout of the book looks like. And it currently has a bestseller rank of 2,395, which over on BookBolt is telling us that it's selling around 500 copies per month. And so just going back to things like the title, it's very specific on who it's for. It's for adults. It's large print, which a lot of seniors or people with any kind of sight issues like to have something bigger so that they can see it. And we've got this other word search puzzle book. This one has 224 big puzzles. So again, on the theme of large print, it's for adults, it's for seniors. And then just in terms of the covers themselves, they're using a lot of primary colors, blues. They're using a lot of red, big, bold titles so that when someone is searching through Amazon, they're looking at thumbnails. Even though the thumbnails are small, they can still clearly see what this book is, who it's for. When you see the same kind of title structure repeated across multiple books, that tells you something. When the covers all have a similar style, that tells you something. When the pricing is consistent across all books, that tells you something. And all of this gives you direction. You're not copying anyone, you're understanding what the market already accepts, and then you're creating something that fits within that while still making it your own. Now, at this point, I'm going to be making a decision. This is either a niche that I want to move forward with, or I go back and I look for something better. And once I do decide to move forward, everything becomes pretty straightforward. Now we're going to go and create the interior for this book. And this is another part of the process that you don't need to overcomplicate. Low content books at their core are very, very simple books, simple works, clear works, useful works. So sticking with the theme of word search books, I'm going to create a word search puzzle book. So inside BookBolt, you have BookBolt Studio down here under the Create tab. And I'm using the interior tools here to generate the pages of my books. So I'm going to create a new project, which is going to have the cover and the interior included. It's a word search puzzle book that I want to make in an 8.5 by 11 black and white interior with 100 pages. And then we're going to create the project. And you're going to see different options depending on the type of book that you're creating. And for this example, I'm choosing something that fits with the idea that we've just validated with the word search puzzle books. So as I'm setting this book, I'm thinking about the person using the book. How is it going to feel when they open it? Is it easy to use? Does it make sense straight away? That's what matters here. So I'm going to keep the layout clean, make sure everything is spaced properly, and avoiding anything that makes it feel cluttered or confusing. You don't need to add unnecessary elements. In fact, the more that you strip it back to what's actually needed, the better it usually performs. So I'm basically going to leave a couple of pages blank at the beginning for now, just where I can add a few front matter pages. Sometimes you can put in something like information about a freebie you may have for people to join your email list and things like that. So those sorts of things will get added in those first few pages. So from page 3 is where my puzzles are going to start. From here, I'm just going to click on the templates. As you can see here, there are so many different templates in here that you can use for your low and medium content books. So regardless of whether you're making a word search or a puzzle book or anything else, any type of book that you want to make that's low or medium content, there is a template in here for you to use, so you don't have to create your book from scratch if you don't want to. But let's go back to the word search puzzles because that's what I'm going to be creating. And I'm going to have the puzzles run from page 3 to page 59, and then we're going to continue on to the options. And this is where we're going to enter all the information about the puzzles, how I want them to look. I don't want much on the page at all. Like I said, I want this nice and clean and clear and easy to use. So my puzzles are going to have 30 words per puzzles. I don't mind them going diagonal, but I'm not going to have reverse words, and they're going to be big. They're going to be large print, so one puzzle per page aligned in the middle. You can play around with the fonts here. In terms of a word search puzzle book, you just want something very bold and clear. You don't want any kind of creative or fancy text, but obviously depending on the type of book you're creating, you can play around with the fonts. Now for the clues, I want them in columns of 3, so each column's going to have 10 clues in them. They don't have to be sorted in any way. We can adjust any of the formatting of the solutions as well. So I want the solutions all at the back, at the end of the book. I want to have 4 solutions per page just to save space and printing costs. We don't want to use too many pages just for solutions. Now I've uploaded some lists of words that I'm going to be using for my word search puzzle book, and then we can preview it to make sure the page looks how we want it to look before we move on and complete the interior of the book. So to the left here is what my word search puzzle page is going to look like, and then at the end of the book, that's what the solutions are going to look like. So as you can see, as I've said, very plain, very simple, because word search puzzle books don't need to be overly creative and cluttered. They just need to be clean and clear so that the people using the word search puzzle book don't have any trouble being able to see the letters. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to continue on to where we want the solutions pages to go. So they're going to go right at the end after all the puzzles. And now that we've set all of our formatting, BookBolt is creating the interior of the book for us. This literally took me 5 minutes, and I now have a fully completed word search puzzle book, perfectly formatted, exactly how we want it to look. Now let's move on to the cover. And this is one of those areas where people tend to get stuck because they feel like it needs to look amazing, and yeah, in a way it does. But what it actually needs to do is communicate clearly. Someone scrolling through Amazon should be able to take a look at your book and your cover and understand immediately what the book is and who it is for. So I'm going to go back into BookBolt because there is the option here to create your cover in here at the same time as your interior. And I'm going to use the cover creator and build something that matches what we saw during the research phase. You create your front and back cover within the same file. So there's all sorts of different elements and shapes that you can use. Then you've got text boxes that we can create the titles, whatever subtitle you need. There are lots of different fonts to choose from. You can get really creative with creating your cover. And you basically have everything you need within BookBolt to be able to do that. There's also the option to bring in other images, which I do highly recommend. It's one way to make your cover and your book more unique and more your own by outsourcing through stock image websites and things like that. Or if you can draw them yourself and use them on your covers to make your covers stand out. You can even use stock images through Pixabay and Unsplash, which are free to use. So I'm just going to go off and create my cover, my front cover and my back cover, and I will come back once it's all completed so we can go through the process of creating this book and getting it published to Amazon. So I've spent some time creating my covers, my front and back cover. And while I have, basically what I'm paying attention to is I'm paying attention to the fonts, the layout and the colors, making sure that the text is easy to read, even at a small size, because that's how people are going to see it first. And I'm not trying to reinvent anything here. I'm trying to create something that fits comfortably within this niche. So when somebody sees it, it makes sense to them straight away because that familiarity is what gets the click. So now we can download our project, and we're going to download it for printed book because our books are physical and Amazon is going to print them for us. And this is basically going to give us everything we need to upload and publish our book to Amazon, which is the cover file, which contains the front and back cover, and our interior file. So now we move into the actual listing, and this is where your book becomes discoverable. So I'm focusing on the title, the subtitle, and the keywords, and I want to keep this very straightforward, which might be a pattern that you're seeing so far in all of this. Straightforward, simple, and clear. The words that I used for the title and subtitle of the book are based on what people are already searching for, which is word search book for adults. We can see as we search for it in Amazon, the first result that drops down, which is what customers are searching for, is word search book for adults. So instead of trying to make the title sound clever or unique, I'm making sure it's clear and just describes exactly what the book is, because that is what helps it show up in the search results. The subtitle supports that, adding a little bit more detail to help capture more relevant searches. And then the keywords are where you're going to reinforce all of this. You're going to give Amazon even more context so it knows when to show your book and who to show it to. Now, the description is the final piece. And again, I keep this simple. I explain what the book is, who it's for, and what they'll get from it. Clear, easy to read, and straight to the point. Now, everything is ready to go. We are ready to publish this book. So we move into Amazon KDP and we want to create a new title or series. And this is where we will upload the book. We want to create a paperback book. And this is basically where you enter in all the information that you already have ready. Your title, your subtitle, the description. You'll add your interior file, your cover, fill in all the details, choose your categories, set your price, and submit it for review. Once it's approved, your book is live. It's available for people to find, click on, and buy. Now, I do want to just focus on something for a minute because this is where things either move forward or just stop dead in their tracks. After you publish your first book, it is really easy to start overthinking everything, checking it constantly, wondering if you did it right, questioning your choices. That is normal. But what actually builds results is repeating the process, going back, finding another related idea and doing it again. Start building a series. And each time that you do this, you get faster. You get better at spotting good opportunities. You get more confident in what you're creating. So if you are sitting there thinking about whether you can actually do this, you can. You've just seen the full process. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing complicated. It's just a series of steps that you follow. And once you've done it once, the second time feels a lot easier. And then even easier again after that. I've linked BookBolt below, so you can go through everything the same way I've shown you here. Take your time with it. Don't rush through the research and focus on creating something that people are already looking for. That's what makes this work. Now, if you did enjoy this video, YouTube thinks that you might like these ones too. So please go check them out to learn more about self-publishing your own low and medium content books on Amazon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.